Okay, so the first thing I want to show you, we're going to be doing review for the next few days and getting access to last semester's material would be handy, like the notes from last year and all of that stuff. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So everybody go and click on courses. Okay, go to click on courses. Then over to the right, you should see my courses. Do you see that? Click on that. So click on my courses. And I don't know if you've ever explored this, but have you ever gone to where it says archive this button? So you know to go to archived. Let's go there. And then this is period 2. So go to your period 2. And this is last semester's work or materials and work. So you have access to all the archived materials, week 1 through 17. So you can go in there if there's things we did that would help you. But probably the most helpful thing is the digital notebook from last year, which is here. And we covered real numbers, equations in one variable, equations in two variables, and a very small unit on measures of central tendency. So, for example, the prep we're going to do today is going to be on real numbers. So this would come in handy. These are all the notes on real numbers. Powers and exponents, negative exponents, scientific notation, all of that stuff we did. So that would come in handy. All right. So now you're welcome to use that anytime when you're doing prep. I'd like you to open up another tab and then go back to period 2. Go back to period 2 in a new tab. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Smarter Balance practice test or practice site. Okay. Have you guys done this in other classes, maybe English? Have you gone to the practice site for SBAC? Okay. So, good for you. So we're going to practice. And I recommend you try on your own. So everyone go to, it doesn't matter which one, but click on the one for Wednesday. SBAC practice site. It's a link. And then click on this link. So click on that SBAC practice site. Then click on this link so it opens up. There it is. And then this is the practice site. They give you a lot of settings that we don't need to worry about. We're going to go in as a guest user, so that won't matter. So once you're here, just sign in. We're going to do this one together. Okay. And it's going to ask your grade, and we want 8th grade. So select 8th grade where it says your tests. And it's going to take you here. So I want to make sure everyone is here. Okay. Anyone need help? Okay. So raise your hand if you're here and just waiting for me. Okay. You guys are not there yet? Okay, let's see where you're at. Oh yeah, sometimes it's a little slow loading. Sorry about that. For some people it's quick, some people it's slow. Okay, you need help? Oh, click on that link. Just click on this link. And let's see, you want to go down and go to Wednesday practice site. And then click on that link. And then click sign in at the bottom. And select 8th grade. Okay. All right. So what we're going to get into is the math practice site. So click on math practice site, and you get 99 tries. And it's just for practice. It's just so that you can see what the questions are like, get comfortable with it, look at the tools that are available. Okay. Just press select at the bottom. And then we're at this where it does the audio check. So let it play and do the audio check so that you could say, I'm going to click, I could play the sound and video. And basically, I wanted to get here to begin test now. Okay. So just get to begin test now. And we'll do like 8 questions together, okay? Which this is the first one. So whenever you're doing these tests, you want to see which tools are available. You got the navigation tools on the left, some zoom tools here upper right, and then if I click on here, I see that I have a little notepad so I can take notes, mark for review, etc. Sometimes you'll get a calculator, I assume, but no calculator this time. So we want to answer this question. Enter the value of n for the equation 5 to the n equals 5 to the 11 times 5 to the third. Okay? So we want to know what number n can be. So really what it's asking is, how do we simplify 5 to the 11 times 5 to the third? So when we're multiplying powers, this is from last semester now, what do we do with the exponents when we multiply powers? Do we add, subtract? Yeah, we add them. When you multiply powers with the same base, you add the exponents. So basically you want 11 plus 3, which is 14. So we want 14. And that's it, right? We just go to next. We move on. Okay. And now we got this question. And I want to see what they give us here. Okay. Same as before. And this question is deceiving, I can already tell, because they switch things. They aren't in the order that we're used to. And sometimes in the smarter balance questions, they do that. It says the distance d in meters a car travels in t seconds is shown in the table. So the distance here is in meters. 10 meters took 1 second. 20 meters took 2 seconds. And so on and so forth. We're used to the reverse, where the independent variable, the time, comes first, and the dependent variable, the distance, comes second. But they switched it on us. That's okay. They didn't fool us. Use the add arrow to graph the proportional relationship between the distance d traveled by a car and the time t. Okay, so they want us to make a graph of this data. Now, let's see here. This is to delete, this is to add an arrow. And it says select 2 points to connect the arrow. Okay, so we want to go 1 to 2, and then on the left, 10 to 20. So there. Okay. Then we want 2 to 3 and 20 to 3. Oh. You know what? It just lets you do 1. So I'm just going to do this one. I want to end up at 5. Because at 5, it has to be 50. There. So 1 to 10, I got that. 2 to 20, I got that. 3 and 30, 4 and 40, 5 and 50. There it is. So this would be our graph of that data. Okay. So once you have that, just click next. Okay, ooh, I'm hoping we get a calculator here. No calculator. Okay, so we're either selecting that these comparisons are true or false. So we have to use our knowledge of irrational numbers. So we got to estimate basically some square roots, like the square root of 37. It's about how much? It's about 6 something, like 6.1 even. Let's say it's 6.1 because the square root of 36 is 6, and this is just beyond that, so it's about 6.1. So 6.1 less than 5 and a quarter? No. So this one's false. Okay, this is 3 times pi. And pi is about how much? Yeah, it's about 3.14. So if I multiply 3 times 3, this is about, say it's about 9.3. Now we got to figure out this one. 3 times the square root of 3. How much is the square root of 3? Yeah, it's about 1, right? It's about 1.5 even. Maybe 1, actually. Yeah. Maybe 1.5. So what's 3 times 1.5? Yeah, it's going to be less than 9. So is this one true? Yeah. Is this one true? Is 9.3 greater than 3 times pi? It's actually true, I believe, right? Yeah. All right. Square root of 5. How much is the square root of 5? 2.5. Yeah, it's about 2 point something. Maybe 2.2. Let's say that. Is 2.2 greater than 5/7? Yeah, that's a proper fraction. So that's less than 1. So definitely this one's true also. All right. So we got 8.38, and we're going to compare it to 15 over the square root of 10. So how much is the square root of 10, more or less? No, 5 times 5 is 25. So what perfect square is 10 close to? Well, 3. You mean 3 times 3? 9. Yeah, this is close to 9. So this is about 3. What's 15 divided by 3? 5. So this is about 5. Maybe 5.3 at most. Is it greater than 8.38? Nope. So that one's false. Okay. So you just got to use your knowledge of square roots to figure that out. One of the things you may want to do is, well, look at the perfect square table on the notes over here. So this one. Basically, you want to know your perfect squares. Yeah. Square root of 81 is 9. Square root of 64 is 8. All of these, so that you can estimate square roots. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Okay. Something else. It says select all values for x in the equation x cubed equals 375. Okay. So it's an equation. We want to solve it. X to the third equals 375. How do I get x by itself if it's x to the third? It's kind of like dividing. If it was x squared, what would we do to undo it? What's the opposite of squaring? Remember square rooting? This symbol. You remember that? But that's for x squared. If that was a 2. This is a cube root, so guess what? This is a cube, so we find the cube root. And that would cancel these. So we get x is the cube root of 375. Do we have that? Right there. Okay. So it's just a quick test. Do you know basic ideas about roots? And the way you undo cubing a number is cube rooting a number. Okay? All right. Well, that's number 4. We're halfway there. Okay.
How many questions are this?
Probably something close to what you would actually get. So about 30 maybe. Okay. Determine for each of the numbers whether it is a rational or irrational number. You guys remember about rational and irrational? So those rational numbers are basically most of the numbers we know, but sometimes those ugly square roots are the ones that are irrational, and pi, of course, but we don't see pi here. Okay, so if it's a number that I can make into a fraction or is a fraction, then it's rational. Okay, so 1 over the square root of 9, is that rational or irrational? Well, what's the square root of 9? 3. So this is really 1/3, and 1/3 is clearly rational. It's a fraction. How about the square root of 17? Irrational. Yeah, that's an ugly one. Yeah, that's 4 point something ugly. So that's irrational. How about negative 1 and 2/3? Rational. It's a fraction. Mixed numbers are fractions. This is a terminating decimal. It ends after the 3rd digit. Are terminating decimals rational or irrational? Rational. Yeah, because I could make this into a fraction. 423 over 1,000. There's 1,000. That's a fraction. So there you go. All of these that I clicked on the left are rational. Okay. Any questions? All right. Another graph. Let's take a look. There's a little different from the last one. Consider the line shown on the graph. Okay, so I see this line. Write the equation of the line in the form y equals mx, where m is the slope. I don't get any drawing tools or anything, but we want to think of the slope for this, the rise over the run. So let me just go from here to here. If I go up 1 step, how much did I go up? Yeah, but what's the value? I went up 1 step, 5, right? I went from 5 to 10, so I went up 5. But then if I go over 1, I'm going from 10 to 20, so that's 10. So, if you had scratch paper, you should say the slope, the rise over the run, is 5 over 10. I could reduce that to 1/2. So the slope is 1/2. So now I want to write this as y equals, instead of m, I would put 1/2 x. So that's what we want to enter for this equation. We don't have the b part because it goes through 0. Carlos.
Can we also put y equals 5 over 10x?
Yes, but you would probably wouldn't get full credit. They want you to reduce. So I recommend y equals 1/2. Oops. Let me erase that. Get over here. 1 over 2x. Okay. So, and this is all stuff we've done before. Thank goodness. I'm glad to see everything we've covered is there. Okay. Go ahead and we'll go for next. Ooh. Okay. So this is going to use all of our skills with exponents. It says an expression is shown. So this is our expression. Martha evaluates the expression by using the steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay. So she evaluates to step 3. It says Martha made a mistake. In which step did Martha first make a mistake? And what is the correct expression for that step? Okay. So we want to figure out in which step, 2 or 3, did the mistake happen. And so it looks like step 1 was fine, and it is fine. Okay, so the best way to do this is just follow her work. Now, she went from this to this. How did she get from k to the 4th times k to the 3rd to k to the 7th? What did she do? How do you get from here to here? Well, what can you do with 4 and 3 to get 7? Add them. Yeah, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're multiplying powers with the same base. K to the 4 times k to the 3 makes k to the 7. That was correct. Now, looks like in her next step, she converts k to the 6th over k to the 7th to k to the negative 1. Is that correct? Can you do that? We're dividing powers, right? K to the 6th divided by k to the 7th. So when you're dividing powers with the same base, what do you do with the exponents? We can't add them because that's for multiplying. Do we subtract them? Yeah. When you're dividing powers with the same base, you subtract the exponents. So we want 6 minus 7. What's that going to give us? What's 6 take away 7? Well, negative 1. Negative 1. And that's why this is correct. This would give you this result. So actually step 2 was correct. So that means step 3 is the one that's incorrect. You shouldn't get j to the 2nd times k to the negative 4. That's wrong. Let's figure out. It's out of these two choices. Let's see which one is correct. So we have k to the negative 1 times k to the negative 3. Okay? We're taking a power and we're raising it to a power. What do we do mathematically with the negative 1 and the negative 3 when we do that? When you raise a power to a power, you multiply them. So we have to multiply these numbers. What's negative 1 times negative 3? 3. So the correct answer should be k to the 3rd. We should get k to the 3rd. Do we have a choice where k to the 3rd was replaced in there? Yes, right here, D. Okay, so this one was wrong, and that one is correct. Okay. So really, this question got you to practice all of the different types of operations we can do with powers. Okay, we can multiply them, which means add the exponents, divide them, which means subtract the exponents, raise a power to a power, which means multiply the exponents. All right. Number 8. This graph shows a proportional relationship between the distance traveled by Tim on a road trip and the number of hours for which he traveled. Which statement identifies the correct slope and the correct interpretation of the slope for this situation? Okay, so let's just find the slope first. So we're going to go from this point to this point. So first our rise, how much? We go from 50 to 100. So that's 50. Then we go from 1 to 2. So that's just 1, right? So our slope is 50 over 1, not 1 over 50. Okay, I see 50 over 1. Now, what does it mean? What are we measuring on the y-axis? We're measuring miles. What are we measuring on the x-axis? Hours. So what are the units we have? 50 over 1 miles per hour. So which is our choice? It's either A or B. Is it the first one, A, where they say 50 miles every hour, or is it the next one where it says 1 mile every 50 hours? Do they ask us to pick all that are correct or just the best choice? So should it be A or B? think A. Yeah, because we can't pick both, right? Nope. I think this one is the best choice. All right. So we got here. Yeah.
I have a question. Why is A and C like the same thing?
I guess they were trying to confuse us.
Oh.
Okay, so we got here. This is as far as we want to get with this. So everyone got this SBAC prep sheet, right? So I'd like you to work on this. If you want to work with someone in the class, you may move around, work with someone. Remember, you have your notes. You have the notes. They are available. So refer to the notes. If you have any questions, I'll be walking around. But for the rest of the time, you're working on this, okay? All right, I'll leave you to it.